Hello and welcome to 5 starter house ideas for your Minecraft world. So first up we have this forest cottage. So what I've done here is just used basic oak pillars, and then I've added in walls mixed with stone bricks, cobblestone, and polished granite, just some stairs to go beneath the windows and above to add depth to the walls, and I've done that for all of the spots around the entire house. And then I've gone around and added in some upside down spruce stairs to make it look like the roof is a little more supported. And then I've also done a contrast in the roof here with this polished granite and then the cobblestone and stone bricks. I think that it looks really nice and it adds some extra color and pop to the build. I've also added in these bushes, which is very important. That way you can make your builds look a lot more lively and part of the forest or whatever other spot you're going for. I've also added in these open oak fence gates. These are meant to just add depth to this wall in particular and make kind of the lantern stand out a bit more. And then I've also added in these fences along here just to add some more contrast in color as well. I've added in 2 entrances, one in the back here and one in the front here. I kind of pictured this as almost like a logging house, so I've added in some trees here so you could have kind of like a tree farm going on. Obviously, I've also bone mealed up the grass, that way it looks more part of the forest. Also, every good build has a chimney, so you can do that by just adding in a campfire surrounded by trapdoors. But that's going to do it for the first starter house. Now on to number 2. So for number 2, we have this cozy cave base. What I've done here is I initially found this kind of like overhang cave here with this natural pool down here. And what I did was I kind of flattened out this wall so I could fit in this circle entrance sort of thing. I've also added in a boardwalk sort of thing, adding up to it. That way you can actually kind of get in and out of the base. And then of course I've added some support pillars here, and I've also added in some campfires here to add some depth to the boardwalk and make it look a little older and more used. I've gone with a slightly more circular design for the entrance here, but you could also go with more of a hobbit hole sort of design. It's really up to you. I've also bone mealed the entirety of the water down here and added in some drip leaf and some lily pads. That way you can parkour to the base like this, or you could also just use this. But I feel like adding these is very important because it just makes the water look a little more lively and not just bland. I've also found a cool trick that you can make some hanging pots. It really only works with these ferns as far as I've been able to see in testing. But if you find another plant that works, please leave it in the comments because I would like to know. But I've also added in lanterns here for light as well. But that does it for starter base number 2. Now on to number 3. So starter house number 3 is a snowy wooden cabin. This one I am personally very proud of because I really like how it blends in with the surrounding area. And the way I've done this is I've just built up a very normal frame using these oak logs here. And then I built the roof with pretty classic spruce stair, oak stair design. And then if you ever have a big roof like this, make sure to add in little windows like this to break up the flatness. Also, a cool tip is to put trapdoors underneath your windows. And then I've also put them above these windows here, so it kind of adds like a cool design there. I've also done that on this area here with some trapdoors, and I've added them here so that it looks like you can almost close the windows. Also, if you come over here, you can see that I've built kind of a blacksmithing area. So I have this massive chimney right here and the same design as before. Very important to have these in almost every build. They look really nice. And then if you come over here, you can see I've just got some campfires here. So almost like a forge with my anvil here. I've got a smithing table and a crafting table. And then this is like the oil bucket that blacksmiths would quench hot swords in. to make them stronger. I've also added in this little path as almost kind of a bonus thing. If you want to have any other ideas for a path, then go check out my 5 path designs video, and that will give you lots of good ideas. I've also added in this frozen pond here. This is not necessary, but I thought it looked pretty cool and added more character to this area in general. But that's going to do it for starter house number 3. Now on to starter house number 4. So starter house number 4 is this abandoned ship. I've taken inspiration from the just normal Minecraft shipwrecks, and I've kind of gone with the same general design as them. I've just made them a lot larger here and added more lively wood to them and not just like the stripped logs. As you can see here, I've also added in a bunch of leaves, that way it actually fits the abandoned vibe. And I've also added these fence gates and fences here. I think that these look kind of nice, and it's almost like the sails used to have like been connected to them. Also, if you come onto deck here, you can see I have added barrels and lanterns along with some extinguished campfires here, just so that it looks like the ship is holding stuff and so that it can be lit up at night. And you can also walk around it. There's plenty of deck space, and you should definitely have workstations all over the place, because if you're living on a ship, you're not going to want to go back to land very often. And I personally think that this is one of the cooler starter houses that I've ever built. So you could also add this to a dock. I've added in these fence gates here so that you could get on and off. You could also have a ramp going up here or just some simple ladders, but I've just left it floating like this. But you guys can go crazy with whatever you want to have for the entrances. I've also made sure to have some space down below deck to have some secret treasure and secret storage. I've gotten a barrel back here and some chests and lanterns so that mobs don't spawn. And then I've got a bunch of chests here and all that good stuff. So you could also put like rare ore blocks down here or anything you want. But that does it for starter house number 4. Now let's get on to number 5. So here is starter house number 5. So the way that I've constructed this one is I have just placed pillars with 2 blocks between each one and then built them up and kind of saw where my mind took me. This one is kind of a desert or beach design, so this would fit in very nicely with a desert village. Or if you have ocean ruins nearby like I do, then it kind of fits in with those as well, and I think it's pretty cool. But I've added in kind of 2 sections to this house here. The first section here is kind of like a walkway. It makes it feel more like a desert castle, and I think it's pretty nice. But then if you come down here, there's a little arch connecting both sections, and you can enter inside here, and you could have storage or bedroom or anything you need, even smelting area or whatever. And then you could also go in here, and this is kind of your bigger space. You could have a bedroom, you could have more storage, and then I've made sure to add another floor, that way the house doesn't look too flat. And this is a really nice spot to add a treasury or anything you want, with a little balcony here. It's also a good idea to break up the way that you use your railings. So I've done jungle fences, jungle trapdoors, and jungle slabs throughout this build, because if you only used fences or only used trapdoors, it really wouldn't look that nice, and I kind of liked to depend what the railings were kind of based on where they were. So I thought that this spot was kind of more grand, so I went with these trapdoors. And then this spot right here was kind of more of just a walkway, so I just went with the fences. But also something I've seen that is really cool in all of these builds is to have a balcony at the top. It's also important to have some shade from the desert sun, of course, and a bit of a balcony up here so that you can watch out for enemies or watch out for people with ship starter houses. But that does it for this starter house and for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Later.